So it's all to play for still.
I think so. Do you want to bet against us?
Hi, villains, and welcome to For the Love of Paul McGrath podcast. It's been a bit longer than I expected since we had a podcast last, and I just decided, you know what? There's a good bit to talk about, Paddy. I think that the team is shaping up nicely on the field, and we have getting into the business end of the Euros with some Villa players still involved, and obviously we've got some stuff to talk about in the off the field as well, Paddy. So no time like the present to chat about it. You've a bit of a change made in the background, Paddy. You look Your camera angle is different.
Yeah, I'm in the process of renovating here because it's no longer my office for work. So I'm trying to maneuver things that there's a bit more space to get around. So you'll have to bear with me for a few weeks while I find the right way of doing this. But you know me, it's not exactly my forte. But anyway, I'll get there.
Absolutely. Yeah. No, it's I'm looking forward to seeing more of those jerseys because Paddy has an array of jerseys that people don't know about. Paddy's OnlyFans camera angle, exactly, Mark. Yeah, this is the one that you get for on Patreon. But less about that the better. It's after Watershed, so you can take off your top if you want. No, Paddy, it's fine.
No, thank you. Nobody wants to see that, I assure you.
But Aston Villa fans, I suppose one thing. Let's start with, I suppose, the most contentious thing that we're going to talk about, and then we'll get on to Ezri Konsa and his potential start for England tomorrow, and then maybe just a little bit more of a chat on what we feel we still need going into I suppose the next phase of the transfer window. But when I say that there's a bit of a contentious piece, that would be to do with to do with the ticket prices, Paddy, and I'm going to bring up the ticket prices here and excuse the background. But ticket prices were released for one-off games, match day ticket prices, Paddy. What do you make of them? You know, there's been quite a considerable increase in some areas. Now, I've only fleetingly read stuff on this, but like some people are talking about a 15% increase, 20% increase in some tickets as well. Obviously, we know that we've gotten more seats into the stadium. I know Bardell and Jacob Tanswell spoke a good bit about this yesterday, but Paddy, what's your exalted view on this one?
First off, it's unfortunately the price of success, and I've lost count of the amount of times we've said that over the last 12 months, which is first and foremost the most important thing, that we're performing on the pitch. What worries me is the only way is up. If in 2 years' time, heaven forbid, we don't have the same manager, we don't have the same impetus on the pitch, what happens to those prices? Because with those prices in 2 years' time, if we don't have the same results on the pitch, we're going to see empty seats, and then we've got a problem. So I would have to think that this is probably a ceiling that we've hit. I don't imagine I don't know what you'd call the casual fan, for example, like me and you. Although I'm a season ticket holder, I don't get to every game. I'm lucky enough to have that season ticket holder, and I held it right through the time in the championship. So I think I'm entitled to it at this stage. Somebody else will use it when I'm not there, and it's substantially cheaper than what's on that card. But that's my overriding emotion is upset for the people who have to pay it. For a family to go now, you're looking at, you know, depending on where you sit, it's a substantial increase, and it would obviously be worrying. So, for example, if my wife and daughter decided to come to a game and we've got to buy additional tickets, let's just say it's in price zone 1, you're looking at an adult ticket which is 78 quid and an under 18 ticket which is
78 quid. They're both,
78
it's the
quid.
same price in price zone 1 regardless.
Yeah. So, well, it more than likely won't be price zone 1. That'll be more central and more hospitality. So let's say price zone 2, 72.50 plus 37.
Around
Brings us
110
to
quid.
what, 120, is it? 110.
110
Um,
quid.
yeah. Like that's convert that into euro then as well. You're talking 130, 135 quid. It's an expensive day out, but you know, the my main concern has recently been trying to justify this season ticket with changing jobs and doing other stuff going on in real life. It's difficult, but thankfully I managed to get it paid, and I know that the Champions League season I'm going to have it. From then on, I don't know if I can afford it. What it's going to be like next year, I don't know. But it won't be a popular opinion. But if I can't afford it, I'll have to walk away. But if I can still go and watch what's happening on the pitch by paying one-off prices, then that's absolutely magic. And it's probably to be expected if we're to compete at the top level. We're all going to take hits. Like bizarre things of like the cells where what once were holding cells for away fans are now hospitality areas. That's the way football has gone, and we have to roll with it. I would obviously like the North Stand to be built, which would take a bit of the heat off and spread the costs maybe a little bit further. If we can get some of those 30,000 backlog of a season ticket, if it is 30,000, get them into the North Stand and get the bums on seats. That might take a bit of the heat off everybody else. But then again, the North Stand will need to be paid for as well, so they will have to put a premium on that too. But the only way for the club to capitalise on additional income is to get a casual fan in the door on match day and charge them whatever 60, 55 up as far as 78 quid for a ticket. I think in this day and age, it's not a million miles away from what the Greedy Six are charging. It's probably on a par, I would imagine, with Man United and Liverpool, who
Well,
are probably
Paddy,
lesser of the evil. I think the Spurs, Arsenal, and Chelsea and whatever in London, they can command more for tickets.
these are the Spurs prices for last year. I'm glad you mentioned it, but they're the Spurs prices for last year. So this isn't this year, obviously. Spurs prices starting off at 65 quid, going all that's your cheapest ticket all the way up to 103. And then your junior ticket starting at 32 quid. So like Spurs are quite they're quite saucy. But once again, that's London. We're Birmingham, and I agree with you, Paddy. You know, the most poignant thing that you said there, Paddy, was really what happens when we aren't successful. Those prices need to stay the same. The season ticket prices need to stay the same. You know, it's all well and good charging the price that you're charging for tickets when we're on the up and up and up and up. And I know that there would be revisions downwards. But the club needs to have full stadia. They need to have a full stadium, should I say. They need to do it. They absolutely need to do it going forward. Otherwise, it's going to wither in the vine. Every club, and that doesn't go for Aston Villa, that goes for absolutely every club. So the balancing act of getting the ticket prices right and getting the stream of fans on the day through is very important. Like you mentioned there, you know, you like I go to games. I only in the position to be able to go to maybe one game, maybe two games every season at the moment. Now, hopefully over next year or two, that's going to change. If I got a sniff of a season ticket, I'd take it. Speaking to somebody, Omar from the Villa Talks podcast, and he was telling me, you know, now his season ticket doesn't look so bad because it's 45 quid a game. And that's only when you take into account, it's roughly, you know, when you take into account, you know, where his season ticket is and stuff like that. So I love the fact that now the fact that the season ticket holders have that subsidy based on their ticket prices, but I don't love the fact that in comparison to what the match day prices are, if that makes sense. the season ticket prices have obviously gone up. People have taken a hit in that, and you spoke very well there about that also. I'm not denigrating the people with regards to that. The season ticket prices are probably too high as well with regards to that, and there is conversations to be had along those lines. I'm not one. I suppose when you put them up against the price 1, the price 2, and the price 3 zones here, depending on where you are, I can understand why these ticket prices have gone up, but I don't agree with them. But I still will pay them. So I'm in this big oxymoronic kind of situation whereby, fuck it, I'd love to. There's a high possibility you could be sitting someplace in the stadium, and the first day or in the first home game of the season, and the away fans are sitting there in the exact same seat as you, and they're paying 30 quid, and you're paying 67 quid. And that to me is a small bit mind blowing.
Well, it's not. It's not because it's a bit different in the fact that you've got to travel from Ireland and everything else that comes with that. Those people who are sitting beside you who have travelled from Sutton Coldfield have just paid a couple of quid on the train or a little bit of petrol to get down the road, whereas those people who are in the away seats have at least. I think the average away spend for an away fan is 86 or 87 pounds plus the match ticket. So that's, when you put that into perspective, 86 or 87 pounds for food, transportation, and a match, and just to get to the match, that's what they anticipate as the average. Could be slightly off of that, but that's the figure I had in my head. So, and that's the reason why they've capped that at 30 pounds. And that's a godsend for away fans, and I hope they never go any further than that. Like, I
hope they don't take that away, but I suppose what I'm getting at here is it's not like usually you hear about a race to the bottom in a lot of industries. Like, there is no cap at the top. There's you will hit the bottom. The bottom is zero, but there's no cap at the top level. And somebody said it there in the comments there. Ticket prices will never be capped, so that's not what we're talking about. There is no way. If you bring in an independent regulator, there is no way in the world they're going to cut the cash cow. Not a hope in hell. But it has to be commensurate with reality, I suppose. Really, with the with wages, wage stagnation and I know we're getting into a kind of an economic theme here, but wage stagnation, in certain areas of the UK is huge in comparison to other areas of the UK. Yet football ticket prices are going up, football jersey prices are going up, train fares are going up. Like, the train fares in the UK are astronomical as well. So I understand with regards to the away fans. I suppose what I'm lamenting here is, when does football become like it arguably has become unsustainable, regardless of who you are and how rich your owners are. But when does it become unattainable for the local lad from Aston? Because it's going to get there, regardless of the away fans, it's going to get there soon.
Well, I think it depends. Depends on your own circumstances.
Here.
Everybody's circumstances are different, and as I alluded to, with myself changing jobs and stuff like that, suddenly my circumstances change, and I didn't really want that circumstance to happen when my season ticket was going to be renewed, but I was damned if I was going to let it go this year of all years, when all I've dreamed about is hearing that Champions League music and seeing some amazing footballers playing at Villa Park, and just getting to experience that just once is all I wanted. But there's local lads that have been forced out of this even before we got promoted, because football has been stolen by the rich. In fairness, when you think about it, everywhere since 1992, it's been stolen by the rich. So the guys who have to pay the money will beg, borrow, and steal to get it to see their team on a weekly basis if they go away, or bi-weekly basis if they just go to home games. And for me, it becomes a non-negotiable. I really couldn't care about anything else right now. Like, I am not interested. I gave up my Munster rugby season ticket because I want to go to Villa as often as I can. I don't go to my GA matches, which I always did. I went to one at the weekend. It was the first one I've been to all season. And it's just a question of cutting your cloth to fit, and that's the way it is. And there's people in the comments. So I put something on Facebook yesterday, and he's in a precarious position that You know, it could be his last season, he reckons, by what the cost. And that's why I'm saying that I believe this is the ceiling for everything. I think it's the ceiling for the season tickets, in that for us and the demographic of who's coming, it can't go much higher. But I'm sure the people who are setting these prices are thinking, well, it can go much higher, because if those people don't pay it, we've got somebody to come in and pay it, and that's no problem. Like, it's an expensive hobby, no matter what way you look at it. It's more expensive for us to have to travel, but even living up the road, it's an expensive hobby to have. And while it gives us so much pleasure and so much joy, there will come a time where it becomes virtually impossible. And look, there's other issues with me as well. I can't sell my ticket back to the club because I don't have a UK bank account.
That's a nonsense, and
No.
I've no, like, that is a nonsense. But anyway,
Yeah, and I have notified the club of this every year since I've had a season ticket, since this was brought in, and I can't sell it back. So it's up to me to try and get somebody to use my ticket, to pay me, for me to change it into their fan ID and email them the ticket. That's the only way I can offload my ticket. So it's tough going, and it's a horrible time of year with holidays and back to school and everything else that's got to be considered this time of year. But I'll keep going back to it. I have no problem paying for success, but I think if this is the ceiling, I think it's just about affordable, and just judging by the demographic of my friends and what they earn and what their circumstances are, I think we're just at the top end of it now. I think we will see a huge fall away if it goes any dearer.
and I think so too. And look, for full disclosure, guys, as I say, like, those ticket prices for me, coming from Ireland, it would be a massive event. I will will pay those prices, but my fear is for the greater good. It's like, it's where does it stop, you know? And I'm not just about Aston Villa. This is commentary on football as a whole. When you can go to a Bundesliga game, and yes, I know they can't compete financially with the Premier League. And a lot of this specifically has to do with the tourism-based industries that have now come to Manchester because of the success of their two football teams, and also in London. And that just shoots up everything else for more regional cities, nodal cities. Like, imagine being a Burnley in this instance. Imagine being teams that are in other parts of the UK that aren't tourist friendly. You know, and Birmingham is, to a lesser degree, tourist friendly when you compare it to London and to Manchester. For whatever reason, I don't know. But what I'm saying is that, you know, I will pay those prices for once or twice or three times a year that I go. But if you're a local guy who can't get on the season ticket list, is what I'm saying here, and you're thinking of going to 10, 15, 20 games next year, trying to go to all the games and buy your tickets, match day tickets, you probably, like, this is an extra 20% on that for a lot of those guys. And it's those guys that I'm fearful for, along with the season ticket. Anyway, we could be here all day long, but it's worth talking about.
They have to pay their Claret membership as well. So that's an additional ticket effectively on that as well.
Yeah.
So it's not an easy time, but all that worries me is that if it goes any higher, I think there's a lot of people priced out of it. And as I've seen in the last few weeks, there is people based in Ireland willing to pay for the cells or the lower grounds or whatever, or not the lower ground. What's the other one called? Upstairs in the Holt Terrace View.
Terrace View.
Yeah. So, like, I have seen two people that I know from Ireland pay £1,800 for a season ticket.
I was approached by two other people here. I was approached by two other people to go in on a ticket on a season ticket, 1/3 of a season ticket for hospitality. And it would be divvied out. We'd all get, like, there was a discussion about, get certain amount of Cat A games, certain amount of Cat B games, and you could go to them, and it would have worked out at whatever, 600-700 quid, same as a season ticket. And it actually sounded pretty good. And then I went, whoa, hold on, what am I doing? Why am I entertaining this? You know, I should be, if I get a season ticket, I should be able to go to every game. You know, but as you said it, Paddy, you're not the first. Like, the cells sold out in matter of days. You know, and everybody, and we all slag the cells, like, every single fragment. Holy fuck, those cells, they're not going to sell it all. They did, gone. Hospitality is flying out like hotcakes. Everybody wants a piece of Villa at the moment, and that's a good news story for those who can pay it. It's a great news story for those who can pay it. But but like too often, you don't want to be. And I'm not saying that this is the case, but you don't want to lose some of the local lads, the guys that are going to be there every day of the week. And this is coming from a guy who would fly over as many times as I could possibly get over there. But it's a colloquial
Well,
club. It's a neighborhood club. It's a religion.
I know you're either watching this now or sitting in your car tomorrow morning on your way to work, and you're shouting at the screen or the radio going, "Paddy's talking shit." But let's not go back a million years ago to when we last won the league. Then we're champions of Europe, and then relegated within a few seasons. There's a lot of play here, and maybe that's the reason why they didn't fully go head, neck, and ears into building the North Stand, and they're a little bit apprehensive about what the future holds, and they're a little bit apprehensive, as we've seen throughout the media, is that they're worried about being able to compete with the greedy six. And we saw Jim the Ratcliffe comments last week, which has just shown that these guys think they're fucking entitled to it. Absolute bullshit.
We didn't speak about that, Paddy, and it isn't in our run sheet today, but that man is coming and showing a complete and utter, number one, lack of respect for the Premier League. He's showing a lack of respect to everybody else in the Premier League, and he's showing a lack of respect to his own staff. He's come in and he's proven to be like, I've never seen somebody go from, like, before this I would have said, Jim Ratcliffe, fair enough, that's a great appointment for United, and it may still very well be. Maybe the club has been run horrendously. He's made some good appointments, I must say, but the second he opens his mouth, he sounds like an absolute entitled prick. And like what he said with regards to, we should have more say in the Premier League because we're the ones that makes the money go around. That's cartel talk. That's cartel talk, and genuinely, the Premier League should sanction him. He should be sanctioned for what he said by the Premier League there, because he said the quiet part out loud. And I fully believe that
he's the first to say it out loud.
But I don't care whether he's the first or the second or the last. He should be sanctioned. So that we all know what's going on, but it's like for him to come out and say it blatantly like that in an interview, a sanctioned interview, and say that, and for it to blow up in the Premier League just to be quiet about it. I don't know.
Yeah. No, it was a difficult watch now, and to be honest, I saw the soundbite from it, and I said, right, I'm going to make it my business to watch this interview. It lasted about 30 seconds because I was just sick to my stomach after listening to what he said. I didn't want to hear it again, so I didn't bother. But it's a strange comment to make, and a comment that I've no doubt is said hundreds of thousands of times between the greedy six and the Super League six, or whatever you want to call them. And look, we have to be spoken about in the same breath as he's talking about a team that finished 8th in the league. You know what I mean?
There's no coincidence that he comes out with that, and he's poached 2 of Manchester City's one of their top executives and their top head of transfers. So all it does is promulgate that.
Did they take somebody from Newcastle as well?
They did. Dan Ashworth signed with them. Oh yeah, by the way, where's everybody talking about? Oh, Newcastle are getting 20 million for Dan Ashworth. He isn't worth, like, there's an off the field player is not worth the same as Omari Kellyman. And that's just genuine. Like, that's 100%. Like, where's everybody giving out about that? That's pure. Hey, guess what? Dan Ashworth is pure profit, I would imagine, for fucking Newcastle as well. Not giving out about Newcastle. I just still have a bee in my bonnet over that harsh shit of a week we put down after Omari Kellyman went to Chelsea. But once again, it all comes to the fans of those of the top clubs being pissed off that fans of other clubs gotta run them. And that's where, once again, Jim comes out with his nonsense with regards to that. But anyway, listen, I'm putting myself in bad form talking about that crack now, Paddy. Let's get on to something a small bit more lighthearted, because we're 24 minutes here, and I'm sure everybody wants to get out and watch something else, or maybe turn on the news for, it's a day in the UK today. I think that everybody might have some sort of an interest in. Maybe you don't. Maybe this is more interesting. Maybe it is. And I would think this is more interesting anyway, but I am biased. Let's talk about something very good, Paddy. Ezri Konsa looks like he might be starting tomorrow in a European Championship quarter-final for England. And that's like, what a meteoric rise. 2 games for England, be called up to 2 squads, I think it was, prior to this, and now he could be starting in a quarter-final, and he could be about to show the world exactly what he's made of.
I hope he does. I hope he does start. Do I think he will? I will believe it when I see it, because I certainly do not trust Gareth Southgate to bow down to anybody. I think he's just a poor coach or an extremely lucky coach. He's definitely not a good coach. I don't know how he gets them to the positions they've been in. He's whatever, back-to-back semi-final and final. I think he's got to. They're absolutely, as a neutral, they're absolutely awful to watch. Awful. Like, I'm talking Switzerland of old, awful to watch. Austria of old, awful to watch.
Ireland of current.
Ireland of the last 30 years, awful to watch. Ireland when they were good, awful to watch.
Yeah.
And look, and a lot of people will say, well, the argument is they end up in a position that's probably equates to where they are in the world rankings, and or better is where they are in the world rankings. So what are we complaining about? But when there's people like that game the other night, obviously they got a great goal and equalised in the 95th minute. Crying out for lads that were left at home. I've said that before on our last podcast, talking about a game that went out the week before. Crying out for Jack Grealish to go and change the game. But Jack Grealish is sitting on a sunbed somewhere hot, I hope, enjoying life. And it doesn't, from a fan's point of view, if I was an England fan, I'd be worried about people declaring for England the way he's treating people. That if you know, like, if he gets to a final, can they exactly bin him off? It has to be a success, but no matter what way you look at it. So if he gets to a semi-final, I think they have to give him a new contract. But that's just how football works.
I don't think he'll take a new contract if they give it to him. But going back to Mr. Ratcliffe, I think if Southgate gets to a final again, I think Southgate could rock up at a team like Man United. And I think we should all be rooting for England to get to the final for that very, very, very reason.
But didn't they just give Eric Ten Hag a new contract? Not that it means
did they give him a new contract, or did they just say they weren't signing it? It means nothing. Sure, they've brought in a whole new backroom team for him, not because of him, or not on his say so, for him. So Jason Wilcox has come in and brought in like half the population of the Netherlands in with him. Ruud van Nistelrooy, the Go Ahead Eagles coach. They've got a new goalkeeping coach that was with Burnley last year. Apparently, the only prerequisite is you have to be able to speak Dutch to be in the backroom team now. But and look, it may turn out to be fantastic. You know, they had Benny McCarthy there last year, who, by all accounts, is actually supposed to be a super attacking coach. But they didn't really attack very well. And nothing is going to change in that club unless they sell 15 players and replace 15 players this year. And they've done nothing. I know it's only the 4th of July, but they've done less than nothing other than release Anthony Martial and try and charge the Saudis 100 million for Casemiro. You know, like there's an argument to be made that the only Manchester United player that's up to his value this off season is the only Man United player that's up to his value this off season is Scott McTominay. You know, and Scotland didn't have a great Euros. You know, so I know I'm trying to boot in here on Man United, but it's only because of Ratcliffe and because who knows what they're going to do. Getting back to the England thing here anyway with regards to Konza, I'm really looking forward to him playing tomorrow. I think he is so versatile, and I think that he's such an avid learner that this game, I think, is probably perfect for him. And I know people are going to be worried about him playing on the left-hand side of a back three, or maybe his left back or whatever. I'm not quite worried. I'm not quite worried about him. And I don't know why. I just think of all the players, he's probably one of the most mature. And everyone can go back and can clip the podcast when Tyrone Mings got injured. I said I was worried about him being able to step up to it from a maturity point of view, from leadership point of view. And Jesus, he did this year. He was absolutely brilliant. He was the rock of our defense this year. You know, he was the rock when he was, if he was missing or if he had to be shuffled about, questions would always be asked, or the plaudits would always be given if he had a great game. The questions be asked to the two centre backs. If our centre backs didn't play well, why was he shuffled out to the right? If our centre backs play well, he would outshine them at right back. So I'm just delighted for him. He's worked all this hard for, like, he seems like such a good guy, and good guys I want to prosper. So fair play to Ezri Konsa.
And this statement that he says he doesn't want our boys playing, come back fit, healthy, and injury free. I totally get that, so I totally get it. But I also get it from the footballer's point of view that you are limited in the amount of chances you can get to play for your country at a tournament. And I would never begrudge any footballer from playing for their country at any tournament, because it's the biggest honour as a citizen of a country. I won't talk about Declan Rice now in that conversation, but you know, it is the biggest honour can be bestowed of you as a footballer. Like you're not gonna go off and fight in a war after being a professional footballer for 15 years. You're not going to do anything else for your country. This is the pinnacle of what you get to do. So I'd never begrudge anybody. Even down to, I had a dispute today with I'm sure we'll get to this conversation in a couple of weeks, maybe when it rears its head again, about Emi Martinez playing at the Olympics. Now, I'm of the opinion that if Emi Martinez can go and play at the Olympics and come back and play for us in between, he can, because he's a goalkeeper and he's well able to do so. And I wouldn't begrudge him. He's only getting the Eurotunnel down to Paris to play in it. Absolutely fine. But you know, it's very hard to take that opportunity of somebody to become an Olympian for their country, to represent their country on that stage, with not an awful lot of people, especially footballers, get to do that. So I wouldn't begrudge a footballer of any type of accolade like that, and even an unpaid one of playing for your country or playing in the Olympics. So I definitely don't buy into that argument, and I would absolutely love Ezri Konsa to play at this level, because it will develop him for what he's going to have to put up with this season by playing in the Champions League, and it will be valuable experience to have the weight of the nation on your shoulders for that 90 minutes or 120 minutes or however long it goes for. So that's my opinion on it, and I would have loved to see John McGinn stay a bit longer in the tournament, and I've absolutely no problem with Leon Bailey's predicament too, because he has made that decision for himself. So, you know, there's lots of swings and roundabouts of this, but you know, to play for your country is one of the best things you can do as a footballer. So I hope people will get behind them and appreciate that that's something that means the world to them at this point in time.
Yeah. Yeah, like it's I had a point to make and I completely forgot about it, and then I thought I'd probably pile through it and it's going to come to me, but I don't think it's going to come to me.
So normally what happens to me.
Yeah.
Somebody asking, do you get paid to pay for your country? You do get paid. It's not anything major, and to the best of my knowledge,
it's hundreds of pounds, if I remember rightly.
Pardon?
I think it's like in the hundreds of pounds. It used to be. I know the Irish players used to only get paid like hundreds of pounds. But
yeah, but as far as I know, the England team waived that, and I can't remember. I read recently where that goes, and I'm not sure if it's to the underage game or something along those lines. But they definitely waived the money, and it goes somewhere. I'm not sure if any other country does that, but I just thought it was unusual when I read it.
Did I read as well somewhere that they waived it in the hope that it would be used for the women's game for parity in pay or something along those lines as well? There was something there. I know that could be it. Yeah. That they waived it so that the female internationals could get parity of pay with male. Something along those lines anyway. Don't quote us on that. Don't quote us on anything, because we only ever have 50% of the truth anyway. No matter, even if I put it up on screen, we'll misrepresent the time 50% of the truth anyway. Unwittingly, I must say, just because of our ignorance more so than anything else. But getting back to Ezri Konsa, I think it's absolutely great. I think it's super for him. I think it's super for Aston Villa. Raises the profile of the club once more. Really 100%. Does, you know, really raises the profile of the club. We can't underestimate that. Like Emi Martinez, when he goes out and he goes up to the Chile fans and he does his little shimmy in front of them, and that gets posted all over the internet. I know people will say, "Oh yeah," but like fans like to hate Emi Martinez. but they like to hate Emi Martinez, Aston Villa footballer, and that man's going to make history for Argentina with the amount of clean sheets he has. He's just going to do it, like I would
Yeah,
imagine. And he's ours, and long may it
yeah.
continue. And going back
And
to
as you
ticket
as you say,
prices,
if you say about profile, you've got the best goalkeeper in the world. You've got an England centre half. You've got England striker who hopefully gets a run. And all these people are looking at this going, who are this team, Aston Villa? Not only from a player's point of view where they might be enthused to come and play for us. It also grows the fan base around the world, which is amazing.
mm,
There's
yeah,
people in far-flung parts of Ecuador and Peru who are watching Emi Martinez and know that he plays for Aston Villa.
they play for
And
the club that once signed Ulysses de la Cruz. That's what Ecuadorian fans are talking about. Yeah, the
yeah,
Ecuadorian Beckham. Just one, I suppose, one comment on the draw. John Steele makes a great point here, and I think UEFA. I think they'll probably revisit it because while it's great for the football fan and the fact that we've had Slovakia, Slovenia, all those teams driving teams close in the semi-finals. I like that stuff, being from a minnow nation myself, a nation goes to like literally we all should have adopted the national anthem or the anthem of Scotland, the one that they had. I can't remember what World Cup it was, the "Don't Come Home Too Soon" song, go there and have a bit of crack and whatever happens. But as John says here, the draw is quite unbalanced. The quarterfinal between Germany and Spain should have been the final. I like the jeopardy of not know. I like the idea that teams can't predict who they're going to be playing and therefore start resting players and start trying to peak at certain times. I like that aspect of it. But what I think UEFA won't like is the fact that, yes, that's the money shot right there, and it's happening in a quarterfinal. But then again, could you imagine if Switzerland get to the final? The population of Switzerland will be in Germany to watch that game, and there's probably swings and roundabouts in it. But I suppose for the fan who doesn't have a dog in the fight, I suppose really that game there, Germany and Spain, like I can't wait to watch that game because they're the two best teams in the tournament at the moment. They're playing the best football at the minute, and it's in quarterfinal, and
look,
I'm licking my lips for it.
In all aspects of football, no matter what way you look at it, and this goes back to Jim Ratcliffe's comments, everything has been leaned towards a big team not getting knocked out. You've seen it with this competition. It escapes me. Was it Spain that finished? Somebody finished third. That should have everyone. France, was it? France finished third.
France haven't even, outside of a penalty, they haven't even scored yet.
Yeah, so they finished third in the group. Is that right?
I think it was third. Yeah, I can't remember. I don't know, but
one
those
of those
were silly anyway.
Yeah, one of those teams finished third in the group and should be gone home. But that's the way the old rules were. The best two teams went through, and now you've got the best place, third place teams, where you've got the possibility. If Scotland had got a draw that night with their 2 points, they would have had to sit in Germany for 4 days before they knew whether they were definitely going home or not. The whole thing is set up to help people. The new Champions League set up is to make sure the likes of Man United, who finished bottom of the group last year because they had 2 bad games, that if that happens this year, they're now playing 2 extra games so that they'll recover and we'll still see the cream, or what they perceive as the cream, in the knockout stages of the Champions League. So that's the way football has gone, because they need whatever you want to call it, need these big countries and big teams at the business end to sell tickets, put bums on seats, and most of all sell their TV packages to anyone and everyone around the world and make sure that the whole world is watching. Because I can guarantee you that I wouldn't be really enthusiastic about watching Switzerland play Austria, for example, in a Euros final. But then you get situations where when Greece got to the Euros final, that the whole world was gripped and absolutely,
And you said it, Paddy. It's one of these things whereby the kind of the game may not look as appetizing on paper. Like I watched Turkey and Austria, and then as the game progressed, I was like, this is going to be a banger. They were going at it after each other, and yes, it was a bit boring. It then lulled into boringness in parts, and then it finished off like it was a brilliant finish to the game as well. So it's that. I think that's the wonderful thing about tournament football, when you have 2 teams that everybody, when they came in, were like, yeah, what are they really going to do? They're a bit you know, and then as you said, they started playing themselves into form into the tournament, and they were both dark horses to win the thing going into that game. And Turkey now have gone on, albeit the centre half who scored the 2 goals is banned for the next 2 games. He got banned today. Turkey go into this with probably half a team because everybody else is suspended, I think, at this rate. But still, you know, they're a bit of a fairy tale story, you know, and that jeopardy that they've brought into games is exciting as well. But I know what you mean, you know, and as I say, UEFA will rethink this again, because I don't think that as a business model for them that they would be too thrilled about that from. But then again, all these TV packages, no one's going to let the European Championships go down the pan from a TV rights point of view. You know, I think this might be a way that they might set it as, well, now any team can win it, you know, because it's guaranteed to happen every 4 years. I don't know. It'd be interesting. I wonder if we could find anybody who could talk to us about TV rights and stuff like that and how they're negotiated. That'd be interesting. If there's any ex-US executives out there for NBC or CBS, because I know you're not going to get any of the guys from BBC or from whatever else, or from BT Sports or Sky to come on here, but you never know. You might pick up a stray American executive somewhere along the line, you know, it's willing to talk about it. Paddy, I did have on the Chiron for this one as well, and I know, look, we're a lot later than we expected to be on this one, but I suppose we better talk about it. You know, we've done a flurry of transfer activity in the last couple of days. You know, we did a podcast on Barnett Shea and Samuel Liling Jr. coming in. Ross Barkley then signed later on that day. We were thinking about coming on to chat about him, but that brings to 5 that Aston Villa have brought in the doors so far. But like, the consensus is that we need more. I put out a poll on Twitter and I asked, where do Aston Villa need to strengthen next? And it was overwhelming. Everybody, to a man, woman, and child, came back at right back. What's your view on it? Where do you think next should be the point to go to?
Next, I would say it's 100% the right back, because somebody, I can't remember who it was, posted something here, and I'm looking at basically a pitch with all our players set out in their position, and we're very top heavy down that left hand side. If you look at it, we've got Digne, Moreno, Matson, Pell, who plays on the left, Rogers, Ramsey, Hilling Jr., and then on the right, Bailey, Diaby, Cash, and Konza. So it's obvious that is an area. I think it's also obvious that we will probably sign somebody of decent experience central midfielder. I do believe there will be another defensive central midfielder to come in. And for me, it has to be a second choice goalkeeper come in there as well.
Everybody's talking about the second choice goalkeeper. I'm happy enough to throw Joe Gauchi to the Lambs in that one. But I think everybody's right in right back. I think right back is the one. You know, we need somebody to come in there as a body, not even a body, but you know what I mean, like a young player, like the Michael Coyote that was linked. Seems like a really good shout. I think the longer that Matty Cash doesn't get this, this is what's called stating the obvious. But I think the longer that Matty Cash doesn't get sold, the more likely he is to stay at Aston Villa. But I think you know what I mean by that. I could imagine that Unai Emery might shut down his shop for that for Matty Cash sooner than he would for the likes of Digne, Moreno, John Duran, Dendonker, etc. Yes, and Kostin Jelkovic and Ken Kessler-Hayden are here as well. I think Kessler-Hayden is out on loan again this year, but I think Nedeljkovic is here. But also, guess what?
I'm not sure who it was. Didn't name the two of them. So he had planned that they weren't going to be around. And I think Kessler-Hayden caught us by surprise with the new contract. So obviously he feels there's a future there for him, or he feels maybe another loan is going to give us a £20 million sale at the end of next season before the end of the 30th of June.
I never thought we were going to sell him. I never thought we were going to just let him go or sell him for peanuts. I thought he was probably more valuable being here with us. I think once again, like the Omari Kellemans, like the young Tims and stuff like that, you could make the argument that they were sold and they didn't really get on the field because of because of where we were, and we're fighting on two fronts. But I think Ken Kessler-Hayden, I think the fact that Kellyman had never been loaned out, albeit he was young, I think the fact that Tim went on one loan and then wasn't loaned out again, albeit he was injured. But Ken Kessler-Hayden has had 3 loans now. And I think the club were kind of going, yeah, we're kind of happy with that bit of his development, And yes, some of them worked out and some of them didn't. But I think that he might get one more loan. But he had 2 years left in his contract, and he signed a new contract, so that must have been extended. I can't remember what the date, the length of that is now. But I'm excited because I'm excited to see what he does in preseason. I'm excited to see whether maybe he's moved further up the field, because we've often said, Paddy, you put Ken Kessler-Hayden, and once again, guess what Neil's going to come back to? I still don't think 3 at the back is out of the realms of possibility. You put Ken Kessler-Hayden as a wing back or as a right midfielder, I think you see a completely different player.
You're not alone
but
there
hey,
either.
what if he goes to 3 at the back? There you go, Mark, reading my mind. And that's
Yeah,
and
and
people talk about Nedeljkovic. Nedeljkovic, I think, could be a right centre back as well, and so do people in Serbia who know a hell of a lot more about him than I do. They see him as the Branislav Ivanovic regen. So yeah, it's exciting. It's exciting, but I do think a right back is probably if Matty Cash goes, it's definitely where we look to. But if it's not a right back, I think it might be a centre back. Might be next we see come in the door.
I still think Joe Gauci is probably a little bit away, so I think he would. I think definitely sign a goalkeeper for me.
What about that Brazilian goalkeeper from that club whose name I'm not going to be able to pronounce, even if I do remember it, from Portugal? There was a pretty concrete link and then it went completely cold. I can't even remember his name now. I put up a picture of him saving penalties anyway. Maybe he comes in and he's the sub goalkeeper, but maybe they go for an old head. Maybe they try and, like I see Newcastle have brought in John Ruddy, and they brought in who's the other guy that they signed? The £25 million Greek guy from Nottingham Forest, Odysseus Vakalakas. I can't pronounce his surname. And they've got a Nick Pope and a Martin Dubravka going spare there as well, So I wonder, is there an old PSR kind of trade going on? Could go on there somewhere along the lines. But I think if you're looking to go,
if they want to sell us Dubravka, I would take him as a backup goalkeeper for sure.
Exactly, I think so too. Yeah, I think so too. But what I'm getting at here is, I suppose, that it's exciting. Like I saw a lot of people online were worried. We've sold Douglas Luiz and the guy we got in isn't going to be of a commensurate level. Number one, we don't know that, and yes, you're probably right. But number two, there's a hell of a lot of time left in this transfer window, and I think that midfield isn't finished yet. I think right back is right. We're not talking about striker. No one's talking about striker, and we could have our 2 young strikers go out the door. I think if money comes in for Duran, he's gone. Money comes in for Cameron Archer, he's gone. I would be blown away if both of those were still in our books come the end of the transfer window. And then we're going to be in the market for another striker. We've been linked with a couple of young strikers. I think that I've now gone from thinking Aston Villa would sign that 30+ striker because they just haven't been linked to that many of them. I think now that they're going to sign that 17 or 18-year-old raw nugget like they did with John Duran and polish him up. They were linked to that guy from Royal Antwerp. I've got a piece coming out on him tomorrow. At centre back, they were linked to that Slovenian guy, the Bijal. I've got a piece coming out on him tomorrow. Linked with Joe Felix. I think that's one that flies in the face of everything. It looks like he's available for a knockdown-ish type of price. Maybe in around the 30 million mark. Do we take a chance on him for 30 million? He didn't tear up trees at Chelsea, but then again, he's got the manager probably of his lifetime in Unai Emery here. So there's a lot of dominoes to fall, I think, with this team, and I think that they're probably in areas that we're not sure. Andy Badger, now you're talking my language. David De Gea as a sub goalkeeper. There you go.
How the hell does he still not have a club a year later? That's bonkers, isn't it?
He should have, you think he would have signed a 1-year deal at, I don't know, to go to a team like Celtic.
But wouldn't you think, with all the money that was being bandied about in Saudi Arabia, that someone would have taken him? That's nuts. Absolutely nuts. a year later.
Yeah.
Unless he turned it down, I don't know. But strange that he's still without a club.
I would have thought he would have signed for somebody like a Celtic, albeit that Celtic had Joe Hart, or signing for a team that would have been in the Champions League, would have been playing for a storied older team. Hell, Paddy, I don't know. You should send him a DM on Instagram, see if he wants to sign for Shelbourne, and see what the crack is there, since they're on the cusp. Well, hopefully they go away and win the Irish League for you this year. That'd be fantastic. You get to play under Damien Duff. No bigger draw in Irish football at the moment. But yeah, David De Gea playing the long game. He's playing the long game there for sure.
So time is running out. That's from my point of view. That's the worry. So it's a gamble now for somebody been out of football for 12 months.
I can't understand why Barcelona didn't sell. I know they love Ter Stegen, but I can't believe they didn't sell him and then just go and get De Gea on a free. I think that would have been a slam dunk for them, but they would have got money for Ter Stegen. Their fans don't really like Ter Stegen, and they would have been able to bring in David De Gea. But hey, it's not our job to try and solve other clubs' problems. We'll solve our own, and even if we don't, we pretend we did anyway. But the transfer market's ramping up, and as I say, I won't be if something happens over the weekend. Paddy mentioned there that he's given up going to GA games. I have too, but not because of the price of them, more so because of the guilt of leaving my kids for long periods of time. But this Sunday, I'm going to watch my beloved Limerick play against Cork in the All Ireland hurling semi-final. So knowing previous things that have happened, that means Villa are going to announce Joe Felix on Sunday, roughly about 2:15. So expect it, but you won't have anything from me if they do. So I'll have a couple of pre-recorded pieces, scouting pieces I've been putting together. I found it difficult to get time this week, and I'm going to just bulk release them between tomorrow and Saturday, probably 2 tomorrow, 2 on Saturday. So if anybody's interested in watching those, please do, and please share them around the internet as well. I'd really appreciate that, getting some more eyeballs on them to try and get as much interaction as we possibly could. Paddy, do we miss anything else out? This has been a longer one than we expected tonight.
It's a longer than we expected, and there's well over 600 people there, and I just wanted to because we've discussed that side of the draw of the European Championships. It's of particular interest to me, that side of the draw, and the reason is that our friend Jimmy in Cyprus, who watches and listens to the podcast, gifted the two of us a trip to the European semi-final. Unfortunately, you weren't able to go, but as of now, I'm going. So I just wanted to thank Jimmy.
This guy's gone.
I just wanted to thank Jimmy for passing that on. And it's really, really exciting and a trip of a lifetime to be able to go, especially when you come from a country like Ireland, who are never going to be in the semi-final of anything, let's face it. So to get the opportunity to go to these ones, which has been a decent enough competition, fallen a bit by the wayside, I think, in the knockout stages. But the atmosphere, everything about the games has been absolutely incredible. And thank you so much, Jimmy. I am absolutely over the moon and looking forward to my trip to Germany, and I'm taking my son with me, who is still scratching his head to how this came about. But
it was I remember it was the day of Stephen's birthday, Paddy, wasn't it? And we got
it's a month ago now.
We got the offer, and I opened up the door here to go indoors to ask she who is to be obeyed, and I got about 7 steps outside, and I went, what the fuck? There's no way I can go. There's no way I can go and be away for 4 days. So I came back in and I just text Paddy back and I said, happy birthday, Stephen. There you go. Take your son and make some memories. But Jimmy's like, what a legend for offering those to us. And as I say, fair play.
Yeah, absolutely amazing.
Deadly man.
So I'm going to try and vlog my way through the experience, and we'll put it out there and let people have a look if what Jimmy missed out on and what Neil missed out on.
yeah, absolutely. And Paddy, do you have any idea what the potential permutations are for your semi-final yet? I think you're on the German side of the draw.
With Spain, Germany, Holland, and who's the other team? Spain, Germany, France, and Holland. Is that right? Have I got that wrong?
Maybe. Yeah, it must be. Sure, the other side is the English side, when they don't have that caliber to come up against. Yeah. So there's one loaded side of the draw. Yeah, so
Yeah.
it must be. Jesus, yeah. So you'll have a pretty decent semi-final to watch anyway.
Oh, it should be.
Not that England wouldn't be.
Sorry, Spain, Germany, France, and Portugal. England
It's
could play
Portugal,
Holland. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
Jesus, yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely. Incredible opportunity. It's gonna be an amazing trip. I don't want to look at Ronaldo unless it's his last ever game of football. But if
I was
that's
just would say it.
I will celebrate that one. But maybe I was blocking that out that I might have to watch Ronaldo. That would be the worst part of it. But we've already seen him cry once, so maybe he'll cry again that night.
Yeah. Look, he's been a very good footballer, all right, whatever. But yeah, look, as I say, he's Marmite, I think, to a lot of people, and that's cool too. You know, that's cool too. You can respect him as a footballer, but also want to see him, you know, not prosper. I suppose even in his later years. I've always been a Lionel Messi man. I can't sit here and say that I would be too disappointed. But I think, you know, if you like a lot of tribalism and absolutely everything that goes on in the world at the moment, sometimes you just gotta sit back and say the man's a fucking very good footballer too at the same time. But yeah, look, we'll leave it at that. We might do that someday. Our top 10 footballers of all time, Paddy. I think that'll be an interesting one for the off season. Because we would have wildly different top 10. We would have wildly different top 10 footballers of all time lists. I mean, it wouldn't even, they wouldn't even be in the ballpark of each other, I don't think. So, anyway.
That and the fact that I'm 10 years younger than you.
Yeah. Well, I suppose we would put a cap. I suppose we put probably a cap on the time. Like we wouldn't be able to go back to the 30s or 40s, Paddy, because like unlike you, I just wasn't able to watch it back then. Emma wasn't alive. So
we'd no television, sure.
you could only get them on the radio back then. Anyway, we're waffling now. Thanks a million to everybody who's listening tonight. Really, really appreciate your time. I enjoyed doing this podcast tonight. I think this one we didn't have much to talk about. You know, we kind of worked ourselves up in the first part with regards to season tickets and ticket prices, and then we kind of came down with the Ezra Konsa stuff, and then I kind of ended up finishing off then with that nice little piece about Jimmy. And I hope you have a great trip over there with Stephen as well, Paddy. So and I'll be back again over the next couple of days with some transfer stuff, and you never know, we might be able to catch Paddy if he's got good Wi-Fi if something breaks over the weekend or maybe on Monday as well. But thanks a million to everybody for watching and for listening. Go away and enjoy the rest of your afternoon, and go away and enjoy the rest of your weekend, and we'll be back as soon as we're back. But hit the like button on your way out, and stay safe, stay healthy, and all that's left to say is up the villa.